The Pacers lose to the Jazz in one of the weirder games that's happened. 7 players play for the Jazz, just 9 for the Pacers. Some bright spots, certainly for the Pacers, in a game that was defined by who didn't play, what happened, why was it so weird, and the trade latest ahead of the deadline, all coming today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin. And today, welcome to Locked On Pacers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, the number one sports podcast network. A lot to get to from Pacers Jazz, a game in which basically none of the top guys, unless your name is Lauri Markkanen, played for either team for various reasons, rest, some actual injuries. The Jazz made a huge trade. And we'll break it all down. What did not matter from a weird game like this, what the Pacers can learn from the available talent that they have, because guess what? This group did all just play in a game in Detroit and did way worse than this, and so much more. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5. Get $200 in bonus bets if you win. This game was immediately weird. Pascal Siakam out, Andrew Nembhard out, Aaron Nesmith out, Ben Mathurin out, TJ McConnell out, Micah Potter's hip is injured. He's out. Whoa! That's on top of course, Obi Toppin and Tyrese Haliburton, meaning the Pacers' opening 5 against the Utah Jazz was Johnny Furphy, Jarace Walker, Jay Huff, Ben Shepherd, and Kam Jones getting his first start. Quenton Jackson coming off the bench. We'll talk about that. The Jazz already were going to be sitting a lot of players, and some of the ones they were going to have available got traded for Jaren Jackson. Whoa, big trade for the Jazz. We'll talk about that a little bit, I suppose, at a later moment. So they started Cody Williams, Lauri Markkanen, Kyle Filipowski, Ace Bailey, and Isaiah Collier. Bryce Sensabaugh came off the bench and played more than Markkanen. Svi Mykhailiuk came off the bench. That's it. That's all 7 guys. Yusuf Nurkic was active and did not play. He was listed as out for rest. They made him available just to have the minimum 8 guys. Wild that is every player who played or started in this game, and all 7 Jazz players. The remaining 4 Pacers bench guys were Talen Peter, Isaiah Jackson, Ethan Thompson, and Quenton Jackson. You might be thinking 2.5 minutes in, what even matters? Right. My first note of the entire game was, what do you even say about this game? And that's not fair. But so the Pacers just went to Detroit not long ago and had a similar group available. Not exactly the same. They had some other guys on the floor for that one. The difference was the Pistons had real players, right? You're evaluating those guys against the best of the best. And the Jazz had some, Lauri Markkanen, Filipowski, Ace Bailey, Collier, Sensabaugh. Those are rotation guys. Basically, everybody but Cody Williams is like projecting to be a rotation guy, and Cody Williams was good in this game. It's just different when it's the Jazz crummy defense and the Pistons really, really good defense in terms of how it feels. So you actually have to figure out what matters in a game like this for the Pacers, because it felt like with who was available, and every lineup's like a lineup that's never played together before, right? Somehow someone on either team was just open, like every other play, even if nothing really happened. like, oh, cool. Open 3 for Svi. Oh, look, the Pacers just waddled around and they have a runner in the lane. Oh, look, Q's open again. It felt that kind of way. And with no disrespect to the offenses, because they were trying to generate open shots, and they were, but the Pacers' spacing was terrible on their first couple possessions. And then they make 3 of 4 threes, and then their offense looks really competent, and then they make some subs, and it wasn't. So it's just like, what do you even take from a game like this? And you have to, I think, get into a lot of individuals, which we will do, but what's funny about this game was the Pacers were subbing a lot. It felt like every time I looked down at the game, it was the same 5 Jazz players on the floor. And that made the game feel very unelaborate to me. Very simple. Just one action kind of stuff. Do you get a shot from it? If not, reset, pick and roll, try to score from that. Over and over and over again. And that suited Isaiah Collier, who had the ball a gazillion times and played all 48 minutes and had 22 assists. But basically everybody else was just like picking up the pieces along the way for both teams. And so if you had the ball a lot in this game, your stats looked good, or you got a lot of reps. If you had the ball a lot and you didn't look good, that's very telling. And we'll talk about some guys that did. And that makes for a very, very fascinating game to actually talk about. But for me, for the Pacers, the biggest takeaway was that everything initiated by a non-Quenton Jackson player just felt a little clunky and awkward, right? Not bad, not like What are they doing? It's obviously lineups that don't have a lot / any reps together in actual games. It's some players who have not played this many minutes all season / ever. Career high minutes for Kam Jones, almost 30 for Johnny Furphy. Talon Peter plays almost 30 minutes. That's all very new for these guys in games like this. The Jazz are pressing, right? There was just a lot of stuff that made it awkward. And so that is what the step one analysis is who on the Pacers found ways to carve out not awkward possessions. And that's why I actually want to start with Quenton Jackson from this game, because if you remember, after that podcast, that terrible Detroit game, the Pacers scored 78 points. The rest of the guys, they got smoked. I said, go back to the season the Pacers tanked down the stretch, or maybe not tanked, whatever they did. They probably tanked in 2022. And you'll see that even in that season where they were losing a ton of games, the same guys generally found ways to pop. Ben Mathurin's name is on there. No, not Ben Mathurin. What am I saying? Tyrese Haliburton's name's on there. Buddy Hield's name is on there. Whatever. If you are a good player, even in crappy situations, or your team isn't very good, or the lineups you're playing are not optimized, you'll still find a way to pop and be good. And that's what made that Detroit game so concerning, is nobody did that. Everybody stunk. Isaiah Jackson was okay. Tony Bradley was okay. In this game, Quenton Jackson was awesome. Like they could, they kept him off the floor at times. Rick Carlisle saying they wanted to keep him in his more usual role with the bench. Okay, whatever. 17 minutes and 18 seconds for Quenton Jackson. He was plus 15. The Pacers lost the game by 9. So they were minus 24 without him on the floor for 31 minutes, right? Like, they just got blasted without him. But his game is what I'm saying. Like, if you are truly, legitimately foolproof of lineup, like your abilities can translate from game to game, from situation to situation. If you have something super dynamic about you, or a skill that gets you on the floor, you will pop even in games like this that look weird and goofy. And Quenton Jackson 100% did that. 9 for 10 from the field. 9 makes the highest of any Pacer, maybe the highest of anybody in the game. Larry Markkinen got him by 1. Neither of those guys closed the game. 2 for 3 from deep. So he was 7 for 7 on twos, was Quenton Jackson. 6 free throw attempts, 3 assists, 3 steals. So pesky on defense, up on ball handlers, stopping drives, helping out with double teams. 24 points, a tied for team high with the Pacers with Jarace Walker. Plus 15, the next highest in the Pacers with Isaiah Jackson at plus 5. Quenton Jackson was sensational. Early in the game, his points were exactly the same amount as the deficit the Pacers had erased. He was like not way better. He was significantly better, especially with the ball handling, though, for as anybody was on the Pacers. Him and Talon Peter had a great double team on Larry Markkinen that forced a steal. Jackson runs out and scores. All these little things that look really good. He played very well. And that was not like proof, because I think you could have probably guessed that he'd be their best ball handler and most dynamic player. But like, if you will truly have something in your bag that can generate an open shot for yourself or other players, you're going to pop in this game. And Quenton Jackson did. And Larry Markkinen took 19 shots and made 10 of them. And Isaiah Collier really wiggled around his way to 22 assists. And everybody else just kind of finished the plays that were there for them. And credit to everybody who did find ways to succeed, because there were guys worth, and we will in future segment, go more in depth on. But that's why Isaiah Jackson having a big game was important. Both games where the Pacers of late have played like this, or with these players available, Isaiah Jackson stepped up. Double-double in this one. 11 points and 10 rebounds. We will talk more about him. Kam Jones, starting. He's never started before. He'd be a guy that'd be the opposite. You maybe don't expect him to really pop and find ways. And he, to his credit, actually, I'll talk more about his demeanor later, but I was very surprised by how, like, he kind of beat himself up with the way he played. 12 points, 8 assists. Looked pretty good. Took space, made passes, right? Jarace Walker. Who is this guy getting to the cup? 24 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. This is more what you hope, if you're the Pacers, you see in this environment, is some guys who are legitimately potentially rotation players, or legitimately are rotation level players when the team is healthy in this kind of game, going, I'm better than however many other players on the floor, and showing it with real tangible production and statistics. And Quenton Jackson is by far the face of it. But in a game like this, that's so weird. The Jazz trade away 4 players and a bunch of their teams hurt, and the Pacers really hurt, and there's clear incentives for both teams to want to lose this game. All sorts of goofy stuff. You still would like to walk away from either team going, oh, phew, this player did this player did that. And the Pacers actually, from Jarace Walker and Kam Jones and Isaiah Jackson and Quenton Jackson, can certainly say that. That's not even to say everyone else played bad or didn't meet the moment, but those 4 were the shining thing, and what the Pacers takeaway from this game should be. The result is not that important. And when this group of players is playing together, no particular lineup or thing is important. But did individuals find a way to pop and shine? Yes. And we need to go into more detail on Jarace Walker's performance, on Kam Jones, on all those guys. That's coming up next year as we keep going on Pacers Jazz on Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, let me talk to you guys about FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you are right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you are backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. It's where predictions turn into parlays, stats into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer on FanDuel, just bet $5. You'll get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We're back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Our second listen, Locked On Jazz. David Locke, I presume, will talk about this game for about 45 seconds and then talk all about Jaren Jackson Jr. now being on the Jazz because the trade deadline is coming up. The NBA trade deadline is basically here. We want to give you a free month of our new Everydayer Club here at Locked On to help you get ready. If you need a group chat to keep up with the chaos, join ours. The Everydayer Club gets you access to a group chat on Discord for Pacers fans, plus national chats where you can hang out with more fans from across the league. You'll also get ad-free versions of this show. And if you sign up by the trade deadline on February 5th, you can use the code DEADLINE to get your first month for free. So how about that? Tap the link in the show notes to learn more. So many more things I want to talk about from this game, especially on the individual level, because that's what I think the bigger takeaways were, given what this game was. Kam Jones, I thought the comfiest thing he did, especially compared to what's happened for him this season, his jumper looked nice. One of his twos was a long two, so if you count that as a three, he was 3 for 5 on threes. I think he meant for it to be a three and was just a smidge too far forward, and that's all great. The jumper needs to be a thing for him because he's not yet, I think, just blowing by guys off the bounce. I mean, if you watch the game, you saw that, right? He was 2 for 5 on his actual twos, and one of them was a jumper. He does, I keep saying this, I feel like I'm like repeating the same line over and over too much for him. If he catches with a screen already there, if he catches and his defender's a step away from him, if he catches and there's already space in front of him for whatever reason, he always takes it. He always uses his dribble to move into it and make a defense react or give himself more opportunities. That's great. Like, that is something that he head up can make plays from that situation or score. He's got this nice little floater that he's shown in the G, right? That's all great. That's all good stuff. That's why he finished this game with 12 points and 8 assists. He takes space, he makes stuff happen, and it was his biggest real opportunity of the season by far. And so the jumper being comfy is huge because if guys are up on him, that's going to give him more space to take, right? He drives right at Filipowski at one point, though, and it's just his shot gets blocked. The whole play looks like it's in slow motion, right? If he doesn't have the space, if there's a big on him, if there's anyone on him that meets him under the rim, a reset is required or a pass out is required. So I want to see a little bit more of that development from him. The Pacers aren't just like a spread it out, run a million pick and rolls kind of team. Like, they obviously set screens. Everybody does. But it's almost like that is something I want Kam Jones to have the chance to do, is just have the team spread out around him, let him take a screen and do something with it. He had one play that made me laugh. He was running back in transition. Isaiah Collier's coming at him full speed and head fakes, and Kam Jones jumps up like he's going to shoot, like just a little too eager to try to make a play there on defense with like 6:40 to go in the fourth quarter. But then he scores right away, gets to 10 and 6, career high in both stats. And he had the opportunity. And some people, I couldn't believe this. I was getting replies like, well, yeah, of course he has career stats. This is his most minutes of the season. He has opportunity tonight. Yeah, I guess. You guys saw the Detroit game, right? He was 1 for 10 that night with 3 assists. He had 2 points, 10 and 6 with opportunity. Just because you're playing doesn't mean you're going to produce. This time he did produce his best game as a pro, and I think that's good. He's certainly improving. And I talked to him post-game. The video will be on my own YouTube channel if you're already watching there. I was like really impressed by, he was very self-critical. I don't even mean that to say like he played out, like he should be so happy with how he played. He's fine, but he was very critical. And I think that's good. His work ethic continues to impress me, and it's not fake. Like, I've heard good things about it. So good for him to both, one, show some signs of development, and two, be very willing to say, yeah, I got to be better even than that. Jarace Walker, this game will be maybe talked about weirdly for him because people will go, well, he's never really been a lead option. He played a bunch of minutes with no one else playing. Of course he's going to do stuff. And early he was the offensive leader, like kind of the de facto point guard. Kam Jones is a one. Quenton Jackson is one. I think both those guys have cases given their college or pro careers. In Jackson's case, to say they're combo guards. I think Jones is trending towards being more of a point guard. The pros will see. But that meant Jarace Walker had lots of chances to be like one of, if not the best initiators on the floor. For the Pacers, sometimes that went pretty well, right? He had some okay passes, takes it across the timeline. The Jazz don't know who they're guarding at all. He gets to easy shots. He was cooking to open the second half, getting to the cup, finding space on the floor, right? 4 assists for Jarace. That's great. 24 points is awesome. So let's do the good thing first, which is the scoring, right? 24 is great. Very hot and cold game from him in this way. But the number that I asked him about and have mentioned many times with him is he made 7 twos in this game. His previous high was 5, right? And that is the next thing that's happening. He was actually bad shooting in this game. 1 for 7 from deep, 7 for 10 on twos. The jumper is a thing for him. Like I expect it to go in now. Not in this game when he had to self-create them a little more, but he leveraged them into drives, into blurring to the rim, and he keeps catching on the move and attacking. Just really great. If this started in Oklahoma City, that game that he was just so exceptional in, but since then it feels like he's gotten, I don't know what has changed, but just so much more comfort and skill finishing and getting to the paint and using space to be open to get twos up. And that's huge because he was very reliant on the jumper for a lot of his efficiency for like a month and a half there. Now he's got a little more to it. And so on a night where he can't make a 3 at all, he still goes for 24 on 17 shots, 9 free throw attempts. He was getting to the rim at an impressive rate. So that's the good thing that happened to Jarace Walker in his a little more lead initiator role is he got up 17 shots. He got to the cup. He showed some teeth with his twos. He also had 8 turnovers, and some of them were, oh my dear Lord, throw into the corner. No one's there. Go for a post up. This maybe isn't his fault. The spacing was jank. Isaiah Jackson's already in lane. He turns his back. Isaiah Jackson's defender just reaches in and takes it, right? Some just passes into the teeth of the Jazz defense that they just take. And he's been cleaning this up to his credit. He's had maybe 1 or 2 disaster turnovers in a long stretch, which has been a problem for him, but 3 really ugly ones in a row, 8 in total. Clouds what this game was for him. But the scoring being at that level earlier in the season when the team was really hurt and he was starting and getting big chances, he wasn't doing this, right? He wasn't having 24 points on 17 shots and making 7 twos. So clear progress there. I think that's been a big thing for him that's improved of late. And so to me, the 3 guys I've already talked about in more than just like surface level detail, Quenton Jackson's game, Jarace Walker's game, and Kam Jones' game, those 3 were the 3 that I thought rose up the most or did the most things that said, this is kind of what this game should be about. More from those guys, seeing them in new roles, seeing them with bigger roles. The other guy that got praise from Rick Carlisle post game was Isaiah Jackson, which important for the Pacers that he's starting to show some stuff. 2 good games in a row for him. He was 4 for 6 from the field, but got to the line for the second straight game. 10 rebounds, a double-double for Isaiah Jackson at 11 points as well, filling up the stats on the defensive end, kept his fouls to 2 in almost half the game, only 1 turnover. He was +5. He gave Filipowski the most trouble of anybody, and Kyle Filipowski had 16 and 16 in this game, but Jackson was giving him fits, and Carlisle praised him again for his second straight big game. And he hit one of those hook shots that he takes that always look tough when he takes it, and he hit an off-the-dribble jumper. So good stuff from Isaiah Jackson. I would have had him into like the promising category of individuals from this kind of game. A lot of guys, like their shooting percentage is good, but they did something else quite poorly, or they just didn't look like themselves for whatever reason. And we're going to touch on those guys rapid fire really quick. But that to me is everybody that had a lot of good. Johnny Furphy fits the category I just said very well in that he was 6 for 11, and that's great. Efficiency is a big deal for him. I just said last game it's weird how little he's been making shots, even as the 5th option. 6 for 11 is great. 4 for 4 on twos, that's huge, right? That's development for him. 6 assists, 7 rebounds. Like, I can't believe that a 14, 7, and 6 game for Furphy felt kind of like to me at times, right? It just kind of like his drives, the second he met a defender, even just at the foul line, like that was it. It was over. And it's good to reset. If you get stopped, it's good. He wasn't turning it over. It wasn't like the possession died, but just nothing happened. Like 4 seconds go by, 5 seconds go by, nothing happens. Cody Williams was giving him some trouble, but he had a nice post up against Ace Bailey where he drew a foul. He had a well-timed double team on Filipowski to get a steal. Outside of the drives, it was a good Furphy game. The stats were really there, but a few moments of just like, okay, let's see what Johnny Furphy could do with a little more responsibility. he's still kind of reliant on other guys. The 6 assists were very nice, though. That was the second most. I would like to actually rewatch all of those tomorrow and see if I had a better feel for why that was the case or if he did anything so exceptional to make that happen. A couple more just little things from this game. Lauri Markkanen played amazing. That an all-star level guy was on the floor in this game, given a lot of stuff that was happening. He made a 3 to start. He was balling, and then he played the first 6 minutes and then wouldn't play the rest of quarters. So he actually was lower on the minutes end for the Jazz, but still 27 points for him. I find it hilarious that both him and Quenton Jackson did not close and did not play in the final 6 minutes of this game. I got a kick out of, maybe intentional, maybe not, the PA announcer. Every time Svi Mikhailuk would score for the Jazz, he would just say number 10, and then he'd say Svi's last name really quietly. It's hard to say. It is. Svi made a lot of shots. He made 7 of them, in fact, on his way to 18 points, but that made this game a little funny. Ace Bailey was flying around, fouling Ethan Thompson on a 3. One swing stretch of this game, Ethan Thompson, by the way, named a G League All-Star yesterday, or today for me talking, yesterday for you listening, was Thompson scoring 7 points on 2 possessions, getting fouled on a 3 hit. If you watch him in the G League, your perception of him will change. That dude can freaking score. He was ripping those threes. Ace Bailey's foul was not there. Jay Huff, I only have 2 notes on him. It was back-to-back shot attempts for him. He tried 2 dunks where he was too far out, and he missed both of them. Very goofy to have that happen to the same player twice in a game. Other than that, he was, 3 for 7. Yeah, 3 for, no, that's not right. Whatever. He made 2 of his 4 threes. Yeah, that's right. He was 3 for 7 from the field, but he was 5 for 9 in total. He had 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He played largely okay in this game, but those 2 players were just like, oh, that's not great. And that is whatever you want to call that Pacers Jazz game. Super peculiar. Who played? Super peculiar to see the Jazz only play 7 guys, and Isaiah Collier I didn't even realize. Somebody was like, you see Isaiah Collier's stat line? There's 4 minutes to go. He's 21 assists. He got to 22. He played all 48 minutes. Crazy game. Really weird. And the Jazz are farther from the Pacers in the inverse standings. Now, that part of this is obviously worth talking about for a second before we talk a little trade deadline. Look, even people who are anti-tank to the strongest degree can admit that there are obvious benefits to the Pacers losing this game in terms of it putting distance between them and Utah. Utah now has 16 wins. The Pacers have 13. The Jazz will be trying very hard to keep their pick inside of the top 8, so their incentives down the stretch will be wild. They don't play anymore. The Pacers rested guys, and they did it against Utah. And a lot of people, were, yeah, woo, on that. Big Tank fans, I get that you're all out there. Remember, the Pacers just had a back-to-back with Pelicans first, Pistons second, and they rested against Detroit. And I still want, don't get me wrong, I don't think anyone's naive to the fact that losing is not a bad thing, as bad for the Pacers as it is in other circumstances. Right now, every time they've rested, it's been the second night of a back-to-back. The game in Golden State was, the game in Detroit was, and this game was. So maybe this will become more frequent of an occurrence, but I still don't know if it's because if they had played Jazz Rockets in that order, when the resting would have come, what that would have looked like. Now, here's the thing. They have 3 back-to-backs this season with a tanktastic team as a part of it. One is coming up. Next week, they play the Knicks and then the Nets going into the All-Star break, and the Nets are the second leg of that back-to-back. They play the Wizards coming out of the All-Star break. Both legs are against the Wizards. And then they play the Nets, and I can't remember the other team, for their second and third to last games of the season. The Nets are the first leg. So they can just continue, if they wanted, to rest guys on the second night of these back-to-backs and get away with it being against a bad team, except for once. That will be when the challenge of their decisions comes to pass. So we'll see what their actual strategy with players is on this road trip. Do their good guys play in Milwaukee? Milwaukee's probably about to start tanking. What happens against Brooklyn at the end of the trip, and then the All-Star break happens, and it'd be insulting to rest guys coming out of the All-Star break. So, how do those games go in D.C.? But certainly there is good incentive for them to lose to the Utah Jazz at this point in the season. I feel horrible for fans who paid for tickets. That sucks. That obviously is terrible. I'm as anti-tanking as it gets. I hate that the NBA has made a structure where it is rewarded for teams, but it is. And both of these teams playing in this game are not necessarily so opposed to losing at this point. Okay, I'm going too far. We got to talk about the trade stuff that did happen and what it means for the Pacers coming up to close out today's Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, I got to talk to you about two great groups of people. First up is Quo, New Year, New Systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way, and there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications, because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with consumers. Quo makes everything simple. Your whole team can connect on one shared business number. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, so replies are personal and faster, works right from your phone or your computer. They have smart AI tools to help you automatically log calls and summarize conversations. It's no surprise they're the number one rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. Make this the year where no opportunity and customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus, get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Let's also quickly talk about Game Time. There's nothing like being in the NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the moments. Getting tickets, that's always not so simple. Game Time has made it easy with their go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. You pull up the Game Time app, you pick an upcoming game. You'll have tickets locked within minutes. Love seeing the all-in price up front, so no surprises at checkouts. The views from your seat, spot on. The zone deals, you pick your section, they help you find a deal. Great last-minute options. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. And we're back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day, or second listen. Locked On Clippers, Locked On Cavs, Locked On Pistons, Locked On Bulls, Locked On Wolves. I might have missed it. There were many trades. Oh, Locked On Celtics. Lots of trades have happened. And those teams will give you the latest on the players that have moved. The most high profile being Darius Garland for James Harden. Little Pacers impact. I don't really want to. I mean, I would love to talk about the trade, but not relevant to this podcast. The way I'll make it relevant for a second is, if you're a Pacers fan, you should be begging for like a semi-major Knicks trade in the next 2 days, because if it happens, my new favorite thing will be that every team that loses to the Pacers in the playoffs the next season dramatically trades. The Bucks 2 years ago, they trade Chris Middleton. The Knicks lose, they trade Julius Randle and DiVincenzo for Cat. The next year comes, the Pacers beat the Bucks again. They cut Dame for Miles Turner. They beat the Cavs. The Cavs trade Darius Garland, and that leaves the Knicks. If the Knicks trade any of their very good players, that would be very funny that every team's like, oh, they fired their coach, if that counts. But all these big changes after losing to the Pacers is making me laugh a little bit. The Jazz Grizz trade, little impact on the Pacers, but I would like to give the Grizzlies credit. Jaren Jackson Jr. is headed to Utah. It is very hard for a team in a front office to rip up an enchanting thing that is maybe not awesome. At one point, the Grizzlies were awesome. They were the 2 seed in the West. The year the Warriors won the championship. I think the Warriors, or they might have the 1 seed. They might have been the second best team in the league that year. They traded Bane at a very high value. They traded Jaren Jackson at a very high value. That is hard to do. If you think there's any percent chance that you have an all-NBA talent and an all-star and good players in your team, and you can win a round or two in the playoffs, it's so hard to be like, no, we should trade out of that. I'd like to give the Grizzlies front office credit. Like, I wonder still to this day how much the Pacers, if they think they were too late getting out of the Sabonis, Brogdon, Depot era. They did it before it was too late, but I do wonder if they did it, one transaction cycle earlier, what that could have looked like. But it didn't go poorly for them. Obviously, they got Tyrese Haliburton out of it. Going early when it's hard is difficult, but if you do it at the right time, it works out. You get Marcus Smart, you get a bunch of stuff for him like Boston did. That sets up a lot of your future. That's not even a lesson for the Pacers. That's just a lesson for every team. The hard thing sometimes is, in fact, the right thing. So the two things that come from today that I think are Pacers adjacent. The Pistons traded one Jaden Ivey to the Chicago Bulls. That's a 3-team trade. So the full details are not important, but basically, for trading Jaden Ivey and something else that I can't remember, something small. Maybe they didn't write anything else. The Pistons are getting Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric, and they are getting a first-round pick swap from Minnesota. Minnesota traded Mike Conley to the Bulls in this deal. So basically, for Jaden Ivey, the Bulls got Kevin Huerter, and they're moving up a few spots in the draft. Huerter's an okay player. His contract's expiring. And they move up from 29 to 24. I should have this right in front of me. Minnesota's picks actually currently 21. So 8 spots in the draft. I think probably Ben Mathurin's value would be higher than Ivy. Ivy's been hurt a lot in his career. At his best, he's looked very good, obviously. Last season, Jaden Ivey, albeit only 30 games, averaged 17.5 points and 4 assists per game. Mathurin has been much healthier than him, and Ivy's role has been diminished this year. So I'd say Mathurin has more value than Ivy, but moving up a few spots in a round and getting an expiring contract is not like a ton of stuff, right? So, well, I think Mathurin has more than that, but it's certainly at least a reference point. He got picked 1 pick higher. Keep that in mind. The Bulls, we'll see what they get out of this. If Ivy looks great for them or something, maybe the Pistons will feel different. I feel like I'm missing a piece of this trade, but I wrote down that was the value, was Ivy for Huerter and moving up a few spots. Regardless, not a lot of value. Kevin Huerter's an okay player, but I found that value to at least be worth registering from a Pacers perspective. The other thing that happened today is I keep seeing the same post over and over and over. Yes, the Pistons, okay, that's it. They got Kevin Huerter in a pick swap. I keep seeing it. It came after the Ivy thing, right? Some fans tweeted about it, and on that, but people said, well, if that's all they can get, just wait till the summer. And I just don't quite understand this. Like, there's not going to be just like magically so many awesome opportunities that just happen to be available in the summer. If your theory is that the opportunities will be better, what I would say to you is maybe. I would say there's probably an even chance that the opportunities are better or worse. Now, what is different is that rosters are bigger. They go to 21 until the season starts, and teams get 1 extra draft pick they can, in theory, trade depending on what they do in moves or have done in moves. There's technically more options available, but guess what? Those benefits apply to every single team. So even if there's more opportunity, there's also more competition for that opportunity. It's not like magically the best trade ever opens up to only the Pacers. It happens for every team. That is not my pitch to say the Pacers should do something now. That's just to say there isn't just some magic thing that happens in the summer that's going to make all their business way easier or way simpler, right? It's more nuanced than that. I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't do anything right now. I just can't believe how prevalent that take is, and it just seems so naive and ignorant to what could or could not happen. Dario Saric also went to the Pistons in that trade. I was forgetting something, but regardless, Ivy's value was Saric's bad contract, whatever, it doesn't matter. Huerter and moving up somewhere between 5, depending on where the Timberwolves record ends up, and 8 spots in the draft. So keep that in mind for Mathurin. And tomorrow we'll talk only trade stuff. I won't record till super late in the day so I don't miss anything. There will be no guest. I can't ask anyone to stay up that late. And then the deadline itself is Thursday. Thank you all so much for listening today. You can find me on social media at Tony R. East and this podcast at Locked On Pacers. And again, don't forget about the Everydayer Club. Subscribe and follow Locked On Pacers to get all the latest episodes. And if you never want to miss one, the Everydayer Club, built for you. Locked On Pacers, ad-free, Discord-only access, and more. Head to the link in the description. And for those of you on video, we'll send you straight to the 24/7 National NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make your second listen Locked On NBA Game Night for the latest from around the league. And we'll see you on Locked On Pacers tomorrow.